Now, before we start today, just a final note, it's the 10th tomorrow, so my YouTube channels may disappear. As a precaution, I strongly suggest you all get over onto BitChute and join me on there. I'm just Salon on there, and that way you don't have to mess about with the different channels, because I've just got the one Salon channel, so everything goes on there. So you won't have to go to like Mark Salon with a C, Mark Salon with an S, or Sri Lanka C, because it's all on one channel. Having said that, this must be why beaches abroad are so clean. One free spliff for a full bucket of trash. Hillsborough inquiry was a cash cow for barristers, solicitors, lawyers, CPS, prostitutes and the judicial system. 30 years of cover-up, £60 million plus spent in 7 years. No justice, not a single person spent a day in jail. The system is corrupt to the core. Their kids go Harvard and Yale. They learn how to lie. Poorer kids go to war and jail. They're forgotten and die. If your plan is for 1 year, plant rice. If your plan is for 10 years, plant trees. If your plan is for 100 years, educate your children. Or, if you want it the opposite way, dumb them down in schools, because they're all fish. Public service announcement. The police are not your friend. That's the most fundamental piece of advice I can give to anyone who encounters them. And if you believe the romantic myth that they are there just to protect the good from the bad, then you really don't understand what it is the police actually do. And for those that don't know, they protect the corporations and the rich, elite paedophiles. And many of them are the same. Woman in coma who was hounded to go back to work has died. A woman who was hounded by government back to work assessors while she lay in a coma has died. Her family said she had had her life stolen by cost-cutting measures introduced by the government. And it doesn't matter which government. This is what you've got to get. They're all working for the same bosses, and it ain't us. Sheila Holt, who hadn't worked for 27 years because of her condition and other illnesses, was sent letters inquiring after her fitness and suitability for employment as she lay in a hospital bed. She had slipped into a coma after suffering a heart attack. Her father, Kenneth Holt, said today, "It's not just her, there are hundreds like her. People are dying because they are hounded. It's got to stop here." Miss Holt had been sectioned after struggling to cope with when she was put onto the controversial government programme then run by private healthcare firm Atos. Atos assessed whether benefit claimants were fit to work, but its contract act was ended earlier amid government's criticism of significant quality failures. Ms Holt never recovered and passed away last week, aged 48. Ms Holt's story made national headlines and drew an unreserved apology from a government minister. Like they give a shit. Disability Minister Mike Penning told MPs that things had gone wrong in her case. No, the whole universal credit is an attempt to kill the poor. Miss Holt from Hammer, Rochdale, hadn't worked for more than 2 decades, and her family said she was terrified of losing her benefits. State whistleblower Carol Woods, incarcerated in the Orchard, Lancaster, since September 3rd this year. And if you don't know who Carol Woods is a brave woman that has been putting out what's really been happening. I had heard of Carol Woods, a former social worker who lived in Lancaster. A brave woman who has suffered persecution ever since she made complaints about the management of child protection. I now consider her a friend and uphold her courage and convictions. It is disgraceful how the establishment treats whistleblowers who care about the welfare of children and also parents of children who have them stolen from them. Here is a link to her affidavit given verbally by phone on September 6th this year. Affidavit of child protection whistleblower, citizens Miss Carol Woods from Orchard Mental Health Security Unit 5, Lancashire Healthcare NHS Foundation Trust 8p. This is an interview I did with Carol on September 17th after her tribunal where they wouldn't allow her to visitors to present. Also, there's a link on my channel where she does a talk in Nottingham. If I find the link, I'll post it in the description. But you must support this woman. She's very, very brave. Dad with 6 months to live, devastated after DWP asked him to reapply for benefits. Ron Stevens, 69, who is almost completely paralysed, was warned his benefit payments could stop on July 29th if he did not reply to a letter from the DWP and of Work and Pensions. Terminally ill man with just 6 months to live was devastated to be told he'd need to reapply for his benefits. Ron Stevens, 69, was diagnosed with motor neuron disease 10 years ago and relies on moderate weekly care payments to supplement his care. But last month, Ron received a letter from the Department of Work and Pensions, or the Department of Depopulation, calling for him to reapply for his benefit because he is up for reassessment. He says the letter told him if he did not reply, his payments would stop on July 29th. Former special needs teacher Ron is almost completely paralysed, leaving him reliant on carers and his wife Jill. Depopulation of the sick and ill and poor. That is what's going on. It's in your face if you only have eyes to see. The Vatican is purposely covering up the pre-flood history. The Vatican, together with the Illuminati, are trying to hide the history of civilization that existed before Noah's flood. It does this because, apparently, the history of humanity before the flood does not correspond to what is in the Bible. The church and those who write the history have falsified our history so that nobody could know that ancient civilizations established contact with an extraterrestrial civilization, and not only that, but that we humans are a result of genetic experiment carried out by those extraterrestrials. Again, if you want to read the full piece, links are in the description, as with just about everything, unless I make a muck up and lose them. Let's get off our knees and abolish the monarchy. Andrew wasn't just a bad apple, he comes from a royal orchard of them. It's time Britain matured as a republic. I grew up terrified that the Queen would pop round to our house. My grandparents, who brought me up, had lived near Sandringham and knew many ordinary staff on the estate. They thought this gave them special access to royalty, as much access as a working person could possibly have. When the Queen comes round, they used to say, if she says she likes something, you have to give it to her. You also had to walk backwards. Apparently, the fear was in me. The strange woman would come round and take my Tressie doll, maybe even my felt tips, a horrific thought. Needless to say, my parents were monarchists and talked of the sacrifices the royals made during the Second World War. They had all the special plates and cups. My mum had a passion for Margaret, Princess of Smoking and Turbans. I grew up and became politicised, thought about democracy, and everything changed. I assumed everyone else would think that the way I did. Surely anyone with firing synapses would feel that no advanced society could be ruled by people of no discernible talent, intelligence or life experience. The idea that an ancient accident of birth determines the head of state and church, and the public then has to fund this genetic lottery. Absolute madness. Tory election candidate tells food bank users to get a payday loan. This was the 7th of December this year. A Conservative general election candidate was greeted with cries of disgrace after he said that food bank users struggle at budgeting and suggested they survive by taking out a payday loan, which of course he has shares in, so it makes him money. Why do we put up with them? I just don't get why we haven't dragged the bastards out and made them pay for their crimes against us. Scrapping politicians' six-figure pension would save $350 million costing show. Greens, who asked Parliamentary Budget Office to cost policy, say it's time ex-pollies get their snouts out of the trough. Taxpayers would save $350 million if the government abolished perks giving retired politicians six-figure pensions for life, new analysis shows. Retired politicians elected prior to 2004 enjoy access to a hugely lucrative pension scheme which pays well above $100,000 a year annually for life or a large lump sum. The rules have since changed, but about 482 politicians and spouses remain on the generous scheme, and almost half of the 21 MPs retiring in the current election will also be eligible. We need to do away with them. They are the reason we're in problems. They have caused all the problems. So let's get rid of them and we'll get rid of the problems. At least 20 web hosting providers have hastily notified customers today, Saturday, December 7th, that they plan to shut down on Monday, giving their clients 2 days to download data from their accounts before servers are shut down and wiped clean. The list of providers that notify customers about the impending shutdown includes Arca Hosting, Bigfoot Servers, DCN Host, Host BRZ, Hosted Simply, Hosting 73, Kudo Hosting, LQ Hosting, Megazone Hosting, N3 Servers, Server Strong, Snow VPS, Spark VPS, Strong Hosting, Superb VPS, Supreme VPS, TCN Hosting, Umax Hosting, Welcome Hosting, X4 Servers. All the servers listed above offer cheap, low-end virtual private servers, VPSs. If you want to read the rest, link in description. Daily fail. PM blasts Labour Brexit betrayal. He attacks sneering Corbyn and targets his heartlands. Oh, look at the picture. Weinstein, pedo. Epstein, pedo. Ghislaine, pedo. At B's 18th. All the pedos together. Now, as it happens with Ghislaine, we may be doing a whole video on her on something we found out recently. Very interesting, but that's not for today. Telegraph. Corbyn will betray Brexit, says Johnson, as he takes fight to Labour's heartlands. Now, remember, this is a politician speaking, so he's lying when his lips are moving. Opposition win risks violent crime wave, say Tories. Notice how they're getting to say no others. But then again, it's all a done deal. It doesn't matter. They could change their mind and either could get in. It'd still be controlled. NHS in winter crisis as A&E's overwhelmed. Duke's friend cast out on Trump claims. Hong Kong protests lead mass march. Greece goes digital to cut tax evasion. That's all this going digital is about, is to force them into paying tax, or as I prefer to call it because it's its real term, theft. The Times. Message of hope as experts say cancer battle is being won. Not by you lot though. Johnson to blitz seats in Labour heartland. PM will warn of great betrayal under Corbyn. Mattresses are new target for hotel pilferers. Express. Jacqueline is queen of the jungle. Don't know who she is. Weather bomb alert. Prime Minister's message to Daily Express readers. Boris, the last chance to save Brexit and Britain. From the Zionists? Not a chance, because you're all Zionist-controlled bastard and you're a self-admitted Zionist. Mirror. My battle on the bridge. Oh, they're pushing that shit still. £10 off Iceland. Yeah. Jack of Hearts. Yeah. Picture that shames Tories. Desperate. Boy 4 is treated on the floor in a hospital because there are no beds available. Welcome to Government Britain. Aye. Voting guide part 5. Yeah, because you need to know who to vote for, because you might get it wrong and vote. Therefore, you've got it wrong because you voted in the first place. NHS waiting time ordeal for patients covered up. I'll come back to that in a second. Labour's pledge free social care for all elderly. Yeah, they say this shit every time this one of these things goes down, and what happens? What happens? They go back on it every single time, so don't fall for it again. Tories on track for majority as Corbyn fails to get boost. Top 10 scams and how to avoid them. Politics and writing fan letters. Joshua does the business. How Britain won back world title. Now, coming back to this NHS. NHS England accused of using misleading data to hide true numbers waiting for 12 hours or more in hospital. Medics say thousands of cases are being missed from flawed official data that fail to record waiting times accurately. We are currently in the worst state we've ever been in as we enter the winter season, says Royal College of Emergency Medicine. Chief Executive of NHS Confederation admits that the way we measure performance is not correct. Now, listen, it's those at the top that are thieving all the money. That's why they pay probably 40 quid for an inhaler, whereas when I was in Egypt, you could get them over the counter at the pharmacy for £1. Can we see that those that make the choice of where they get these inhalers and things from, they pay massive amounts, 40 times over the odds. And don't forget, those in Egypt were making profit on that £1. So what happens is those that get the orders get a massive backhander for paying over. And that's why the NHS is in trouble, because of the corruption at the very top. The Guardian. Leslie Ash, I was amazed at how I dropped. Corbyn in last-ditch drive to focus on voters' finances. 1 in 5 schools need urgent repair work. Corners all over advert calendar series of spending promises. Concerns. We have wasted people's potential as government left communities at the mercy of the market. Mind games. King of Chess is also fantasy football ace. The utter scum. Jungle jackpot. Devastating special report. Waking up to Corbyn as PM on Friday the 13th would just be the start of a nightmare. Seduced by Labour's manifesto bribes, read our experts' grim vision of Marxist Britain. And instead, why don't you listen to the Conservative bribes? Because that's what they're all trying to do. It's corruption. They're bribing you to vote for them, and then they always, every single time, go back on it or hit you with some stealth tax to take off more from you than what they've actually given you. So if you're voting for your own enslavement. Utter waste of paper. Jackie's crown queen of the jungle. AJ's big payday. The Great British Bark Off, 12 brilliant Christmas recipes for your dog. A major incident, row as faulty towers racism on telly again. £10 off when you spend 40 or more at Iceland. Yeah, well, you should get over and spend 40, shouldn't you, I guess. FT. Beijing orders removal of foreign PCs and software. Edit aims to boost domestic markets, blow to HP, Dell and Microsoft. Number crunchers. Johnson outlines plan for points-based immigration. How can we get them in quicker? Well, we'll say that they qualify because we give them more points because of whatever we decide to make up, because that's what we do every single time. Cash-hungry hedge funds depend Recent repo market turmoil finds BIS. Brexit department raises doubts on Johnson's pledge. Well, he's a politician. If he's speaking, he's lying. This is to all you men out there. Warning. Female aliens are kidnapping men with big cocks this Christmas. Obviously, you're not in danger, but I'm texting you to let you know this spaceship is effing awesome. There's something wrong with this banana, and the reason that's funny is because he still wouldn't be able to figure it out. This plank has seen things that cannot be unseen. You know you're in trouble when they call you by your full name. Turn left for the vet. Turn right for many years of life. Choose wisely. The biggest lie I tell myself is, I don't need to write that down. I'll remember it. To catch the fish, you must first become the fish.